Hi, I'm Tevin Baltinson, and this is my presentation for Decision Making Accounting 6100 for Dr. Christensen's Fall 2017 semester. To start off, a little summary of the article Who Needs Budgets by Jeremy Hope and Robin Frazier is the article that I chose for this formal presentation. Starting off, the article talks a little bit about the traditional budgeting approach and how it kind of needs to be thrown out the window because some of the things that it establishes and the way that the culture is developed within a company due to traditional approach of budgeting. For example, the traditional approach has a lot of preset numbers. It is the way it is when it's first set up. In fact, oftentimes, including sometimes at my work, they use previous year's numbers, increase it by a slight percentage, and that's the next year's number of the budget that they're trying to meet, which really isn't taking into consideration a lot of the different effects and different changes that are going on in the company and in the industry. And so that can be using those numbers year after year doesn't really reflect the changes in the market. Also, another thing that the article talks about is there's too much pressure to reach goals, meaning if one of the sales managers is given a budget of what the sales are predicted to be the next year, there's a lot of pressure for him to meet those numbers, to meet that sales volume, which has affected a lot of companies with their integrity. It has been weakening because if at the end of the month they're falling short, then some people have done unethical things to meet that budget. So there's too much pressure to reach the goals. There's needs to be more focus on the process of reaching goals other than just the numbers. Some alternate methods is like benchmarking, for example. Instead of just taking numbers each year comparing to yourself, you also look at the industry standards to see how you're comparing to those to the rest of the companies throughout the industry, and that gives you a better idea of where you actually stand. So they suggest some of the changes and improvements that should be implemented instead of using the traditional approach, and one of those is being not so focused on preset numbers, but focusing on some long-term factors such as return on capital as a whole, and not just sales. You can also focus on your fixed costs. You can attempt to reduce them as much as possible instead of focusing on just the sales volume, which can lead to some unethical decisions. Also, the improvements, getting rid of the traditional budgeting approach is eliminating the spend it or lose it philosophy, which is basically each department is given a certain amount of preset number of a budget that they have to stay within for each year, and they have the fear that at the end of the year, if they didn't spend what was allocated to them, that preset number, then the next year they're going to get less. So oftentimes the end of the month comes, they'll spend it on unnecessary things just in case later on down the road they will need that money. So by eliminating the traditional budget approach, they're able to kind of reduce that spend it or lose it mentality. And also this increases management involvement and trust because the departments are more on a on-demand basis. If they need the money, then they're going to ask for it, and that's something that upper management will have to distribute and allocate to them based on their needs. And so there's a lot of trust that's involved, but that's a good thing. My personal opinion is that there needs to be a hybrid method. They need to not throw out entirely the traditional budget system, but maybe not hang it in front of everyone, put it on posters, on email after email, not give too much pressure, but instead what they should do is do it behind the scenes so that the numbers do reflect what's going on in the company, but they can try to pinpoint that to what changes they made. So maybe not showing it in front of all the employees, but just having the accounting staff and some management see what is happening. So in my opinion, that's what the best approach would be.